Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Fosterpreneur podcast. We're back on my couch, but today I'm back with a special guest. And this person is someone who is near and dear to my heart. Please welcome Mr. Cortez Bond.
How y'all doing? I'm Cortez Bond. Nice to meet y'all.
So, before I start asking Cortez questions, I'm going to tell you why Cortez is really near and dear to my heart. So, some of you, if you've been following our story, you know that I work for a really incredible organization called Urban Alliance. And the Urban Alliance is an incredible youth workforce development program that supports young people for underinvested and underserved communities and provides them with really incredible workforce experiences. So, I met Cortez his senior year of high school back in 2018? Yep, in 2018. And he was a Bank of America intern. He was the only student from Augusta Fells Savage School that made it through Urban Alliance. And Cortez, that was one of my homies. Like, Cortez, you walked around with a water bottle. You were so consistent. He was serious about his workouts, his health, all of that, like unapologetically. And it actually ended up being like a real full circle serendipitous type situation for how Cortez and I got connected through Fosterpreneur. And one day I was talking to him during the pandemic, telling him that I was doing some stuff for Fosterpreneur because you asked me. And he was like, Miss Erica, I was in foster care. And I was like, I had no idea. And Cortez started telling me about his business ideas. And then fast forward, Cortez was a part of Urban Alliance, not only a part of Urban Alliance because he had graduated at that point, but you were a part of Fosterpreneur, part of our first full-fledged virtual cohort. And now fast forward, he's done so many incredible things since the fall of 2020. And I get to sit down with him today to talk to you about your experience and everything. So anyway, that is why Cortez is near and dear to my heart. I'm going to stop talking. And Cortez, I just want you to tell the people what you want them to know about you.
How y'all doing? Cortez Bond. I'm 25. I've been starting my business since probably like somewhere in high school. I don't remember when, but I remember like my first business back in high school. I was like trying to sell candy around school and stuff like that. And then I'm into video games, so I just ventured off and I was like, I want to start my own video game truck business. So, because I used to go to Job Corps, so I saw at Job Corps they would have like the video game trucks come up there and we play in them and stuff like that. Then I was like, in my mind, I'm thinking like this would make a lot of money. So I kind of was like, I'm gonna start that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's how I got to this point. Yeah.
I actually did not know that you sold candy in school.
You know that?
I didn't know that you did all of that. Oh. Well, now this all makes even more sense.
Mr. William knew that. Maybe
Mr. William knew that?
Yeah, because he always.
Okay. Well, one of us knew. Mr. William, for those who don't know, is our. Mr. William is our incredible lead business instructor who Cortez had one-on-ones with, went through the virtual cohort with our other students. So I missed that detail, but I'm glad one of us knows. So awesome. So I'm going to just get right into it. Is that cool, Cortez? Okay. So my first question is, I previewed the audience to tell them about how I found out that you were a foster care alum and that you had these entrepreneur ideas and visions. And I want you to take me back to the summer of 2020 before you even started Fosterpreneur. And if you remember that conversation, and what made you want to be a part of this thing that was new called Fosterpreneur?
So 2020, I was had graduated Job Corps. No, I was in the middle of Job Corps. And my mind was already on set of like, oh, I want my own business. I want to do the game truck thing. And then Miss Erica, I called Miss Erica on the phone, and she had told me she did a business for like the foster care and stuff like that. And then I was like, you know what, that would be good to like join with her and stuff like that. So I asked her if I could join like Fosterpreneur. Yeah.
Let me tell you, one of the reasons why I'm so grateful for you, Cortez, but also grateful for how Urban Alliance brought us together. That was a random day that you called me. That was not planned. And I just so happened to be coming from doing a Fosterpreneur mini graduation for Ashley. And you were like, what are you doing? And I was like, that's kind of strange, but hey, I'll share. And little did I know that conversation would lead to you being a part of Fosterpreneur. So I think I just really believe that was a divine intervention type of moment.
Yeah.
Cortez mentioned that you did Job Corps, right?
Yeah.
You came back and you're like, I have this idea. I like gaming. Let me figure out this mobile game truck idea, how to do this, right? And not only did you have this aspiration for your mobile game truck,
Right.
but you also told me when you were in high school that you had plans to enlist in the military.
Yes.
And do all of that. And you knew there were certain steps that you had to take to do that. So, on top of having your game truck business idea, on top of knowing that you were going to be in the military, and fast forward, he just recently graduated from basic training, right?
I did AIT.
Like literally not even a week ago. So, talk about manifestation in that. But what I do want to ask you, Cortez, is on top of you maintaining your entrepreneur vision, on top of you having your other goals, how do you stay on track? How do you deal with setbacks and stay focused on the things that matter the most to you?
In my opinion, how I'll deal with it, you just gotta like train your mind to be like, regardless of whatever gets in my way, regardless of whatever comes up, I'm gonna continue to go for it. Because I talk to my mom a lot, and she's like, even if it takes like 5 years later, continue to still do it. And like in my mind, I just want to like go, 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 and get everything done. But I realize that like you gotta have like slow motion is better than like no motion. So you gotta like take your time with stuff and like get back on top to it and write it down. Because if you don't write it down, you might forget about it. Like it might just become the past. But once you write it down and you reflect back on those notes, and then you be like, oh yeah, I gotta get back on top of that.
I love how you kept what your mom said to you about not allowing the time or how long it takes
Right.
to stop you. And then the mind. I mean, because it all starts in the mind, right?
Right,
Like,
of course.
if we don't have the vision in our head or we can't see beyond what is in front of us,
Yeah.
we can't even begin to take the actions if we can't already have the right mindset
Right. Okay.
to do that. So, thank you
Yeah.
for sharing the wisdom your mom shared with you.
I
And then
mean,
also the power of writing it down, right? Because we
yeah.
can keep all this stuff in our head, but if we don't have it written down.
Yeah. Like a lot of times, like my mom will tell me something, and honestly, in the moment, I don't really pay attention to it. But but like later on, it's like echoes in my head, and it's like when I'm in the moment, I like know what to do because echoes in my mind. Yeah.
So what I hear you saying, Cortez, it might seem like you may not have taken that piece of advice or that nugget,
Yeah.
but you keep it close to you.
Yeah.
And when it's time to
Of course.
execute, you execute, right?
Of course.
Okay. I love that. All right. In your intro, Cortez, you mentioned how starting from being in elementary school, you
Right.
were doing entrepreneur things, from selling
Yeah.
candy, figuring out ways to make money.
Right.
So, in thinking about how you had the unique experience of being in foster care, how would you what kind of advice would you say to foster care youth or recent foster care alum who've aged out the foster care system
Right.
who are interested in entrepreneurship? What kind of advice would you give them?
And my advice is that you got to find somebody that's like doing already what you're wanting to do, and like have them guide you into what you want to do. You know, because it's like you doing it by yourself. You can do it by yourself, but it's gonna be like harder. You know, so if you have someone already there that can help you get there, that'll make it a lot easier.
No, I'm so glad you talked about the beauty of community because we are so much stronger when we do it together versus doing it alone. But I feel like we get a lot of messages in our society like, don't share your dreams with anybody, because you don't want anybody to distract you.
Right.
So I'm curious, how do you decipher for yourself the difference between sharing that vision with people that you can trust versus when you go all in and you focus like on a solo tip?
Say that question again.
Yeah. So given the fact that we are stronger together, how do you personally manage when to share your vision with those who are important to you or when you got to do the solo thing and focus and go heads down?
Well, honestly, in certain areas, I'm not really open to like partnership type of thing. But I know like business is one thing that I know that you just like you need other people to grow type of thing. You know, you need people in every area to grow. But with me, I'm like distant in some areas. I don't mind just like trying to do my own thing in some areas. But with this, I know this will work better with people.
No, I appreciate you decide, like, and sometimes it's just like you have to figure out as you're going through what's appropriate, what's not appropriate to share, and what's when you need that support. One of the things that I'm curious about is, what do you wish you knew when you started your whole journey? Whether that was, I mean, you can tie Urban Alliance into this. You can tie when you first had that conversation with me about Fosterpreneur. What do you wish you knew? Let's go back to the conversation we had, actually. What do you wish you knew almost 5 years ago now? What do you wish you knew back then?
Back then, honestly, like, you gotta really, like, when they say, like, you gotta, like, hone in on different aspects of business, like whether it's financially, like leadership wise, any aspect, you gotta really, like, hone down on that aspect. Because back then I was, like, bad at managing money, so I wish I, like, knew, like, how bad I was. like because I thought I was like, because my mom, she's taught me how to, like, manage money and stuff like that. So I know how to manage money opposed to the average person. But I'm not, like, back then I wasn't the best. So I really wish I would have got better financial advisory.
Okay, well, I also want to give you some grace, though, because this was 2020, right? We're now in 2025. If you're listening to this, right? That was 5 years ago. You were, what, 19? 20?
Yeah.
So you were 20 in 2020, in the middle of a global pandemic.
Yeah.
And you had just finished Job Corps.
Yeah.
Barely 2 years from graduating high school.
Right.
Don't you deserve a little grace with that?
In my opinion, no.
Tell me why.
Because ever since I was around 16, 15, I was already, like, I was watching videos. I already had my mindset on, like, oh, I'm gonna start this business. I'm gonna head this business in order, have it all straight, have it all. Like, my mom, she'd already been teaching me since young to manage my money good. So it was already in my mind to manage money good. But when you actually get money, like, because there's been times where I have a large portion of money and I just, like, blow it, honestly. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you, like, once you actually get the money in your hand, it's like it goes so fast that if you don't watch it, it'll go in the wrong places.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, right? Because we all have these different money stories. And sometimes for those of us who've been in environments where money is viewed as something that's scarce, when we get a lot of it, it's like, oh, we got to make sure we have this good time with it, because when is it going to come back around? Versus it's so important to know that financial mindset and how money is a tool, and that you have to be a good steward of money and make the proper investments, but also save, and also think about how can you utilize other folks' money to build your business within an American context, right? So I want to give you grace, because Cortez, you're just 25. And 20, when you started, still really young. Like, don't you feel like you've learned a lot since then?
Of course, I definitely learned a lot, and I'm gonna keep continuing to learn more.
Because it's a journey. You never see. You hear Cortez? He said he's never going to stop learning. And for those of you listening, whether you are 6, 16, 80, or anywhere in between there, or older, right? You never ever stop learning. You never ever stop learning.
I have a passion for learning, like, even if, like, my one thing, like, even if I don't, like, have no interest in it, or I only have an extent to want to learn about it, but I just like learning about everything, no matter what it is.
And I'll tell you, one of the things that I see that makes really strong entrepreneurs is that curiosity. Like, how can you make sure you're continuing to grow? Because you have to continue to evolve. Like, was relevant 5 years ago, 10 years ago is not always relevant in today's time. So that's why you have to. So I really appreciate you saying that, Cortez.
Yeah.
All right. So Cortez, you dropped a few golden nuggets, and I want to bring it a little bit back to Fosterpreneur for a second. So can you tell me, from your Fosterpreneur experience, what did you gain from that experience going through Fosterpreneur with us?
This might sound like a cliche, because I probably said a lot in these videos, but networking. I learned a lot of how to network more through Fosterpreneur.
And can you tell us a little bit more about what you learned specifically about networking and how you use that?
Right. So I learned how to talk with people and deal with people, opposed to just like building a relationship with them. You know what I'm saying? Like the best networking is like when you can build a relationship with a person and they gravitate and like they really like feel you. You know, opposed to just sitting there and like talking with somebody, like just saying anything. Try to build like a relationship on what we connect with and stuff like that. And Fosterpreneur is like mostly business. We connect to business and a lot of stuff, other stuff too.
Yeah, and I want to say, and Cortez, I hope you don't mind me saying this, right? Cortez mentioned his vision for a mobile game truck, right? And that's something that Cortez has not forgotten about. It is still something that is happening. And because of because of your conviction, Cortez's conviction during Fosterpreneur, our commencement speaker started having individual sessions with Cortez because she was committed to helping Cortez really build out the game truck idea along with some of the along with some of the other enterprises that she does. I'm sure that invitation is still open, Cortez.
Of course,
too.
I called her on the phone.
Of course you did. See,
I explained it to her and stuff like that, and she said the invitation is always still on the table.
you see that? Okay. I just want to paint the picture for you guys. So it's our first virtual graduation. And I had the amazing Lisa Phillips, who has a phenomenal story of being in foster care and getting all of the additional skill set that she needed. So she graduated from college at a later age. She started a workforce development organization. She's done all these different things, have gotten all of these different federal contracts to really help transform the lives of young people, not just across the state of Maryland, but up and down the East Coast now. And she had mentioned to me after she heard about your venture, so Cortez's venture and his idea of building a game truck in 2020. Mind you, he had this idea in the middle of a global pandemic where we couldn't even see each other at that time, right?
Yeah. We was doing that.
It sparked something in Lisa, and she was like, Cortez, we gonna meet, so we gonna figure out how to make this happen. Right. And Cortez you were consistent. I remember being on those calls, being consistent. And this is the beauty of entrepreneurship and what we do at Fosterpreneur. Cortez, you decided to pivot after a few months because of some other things going on.
Yeah.
But listen, you mentioned that you called Miss Lisa the other day.
Yeah.
It's 2025. We were having these conversations in the beginning of 2021 for quite a few months. And she still said to this day that the invitation's still open.
She did.
And since then, we have another Fosterpreneur who works with her partner who does gaming. So there's all of these new opportunities.
Yeah.
And what I know about you, Cortez, you keep your word.
Of course.
His word is his bond, and his last name is Bond. So maybe God was doing something there when he knew.
It's funny because when I was in the military, they'd have like they'd always say "word is bond" to me, so that kind of makes me.
Yeah, no, and you're Bond.
Yeah,
you are a Bond.
Oh yeah.
Period. So actually, this kind of leads me to my next question, Cortez. I would love to hear, like, what are your goals for your future, like, that you feel comfortable sharing with our audience, like, whether that's personally, professionally. What are some of the goals that you have for
so
yourself?
Some of my goals is I'm about to start school. So my school's going to be like 7 months long. It's like a vocational type of school.
Okay.
I don't want to say specifically.
Okay, you don't have to say specifically. That's fine.
But I'm going to go to school. I want to buy a house soon.
Okay.
You know, because I'm in like National Guard, so I don't know like when they'll send me to deploy and stuff like that. But if I'm here for like at least 5 years, I want to buy a house within this 5 years, and then like start like real estate and stuff like that. Yeah, that's just like two of my goals.
Okay. One of the things I want to mention, Cortez gets it done. So the things that you said, you do. You do. So I'm excited to continue to watch your evolution for sure. Okay. And the other question that I have for you, Cortez, too, is in thinking about the networking piece and how Fosterpreneur added that value to your life.
Right.
Where do you want to see us go? Where do you want to see Fosterpreneur in the next few years?
I think Fosterpreneur should venture off and go all over the country
Okay.
and connect with youth all over different like races and things like that.
Okay.
Because when I was in the military, it's not just like white people or black people. It's like we have people from all over the world, like Spanish people. I have Asian people all in my platoon and things like that. So I really connect well with a whole bunch of different nationalities and things like that. So I would like to see Fosterpreneur connect with a whole bunch of different nationalities.
I love that. So not just on a national tip, but internationally.
Yeah.
No, and I have to say, Cortez, like it warms my heart to hear that you have all of these different connections, because I don't know how many of you guys listening know about some of the struggles that certain neighborhoods in Baltimore face, but like Cortez, just knowing the neighborhood where high school is from, knowing everything,
Yeah.
like you have overcome so much.
Yeah.
And you have a positive mindset. You set your mind to do the things you say you're going to do.
Right.
And like there's power when you say you have friends from all over.
Yeah.
Because those cultural that exposure allows you to see things differently.
It does, like in multiple different ways. I have one friend. He's from Guam,
Oh, okay.
and he was like showing me like a recording of like when he was at the beach, and like when I saw his water at the beach, it's like crystal clear, like you can see the bottom of the ocean. And I was like, we don't have that type of water where I'm from, so it's like it does give you a different perspective when you connect with different people from all over.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It allows you to have even more empathy. It allows you to be like, there's so many different ways of looking at this, like, or just even being grateful for some things that you have, or questioning that, you know? So I think that's extremely powerful. So before we wrap up, Cortez, I want to know if there's anything else that you want the folks listening to know about you, your experience with Fosterpreneur, or what you're seeking to do.
Fosterpreneur is the best and going to be even better. I just want to thank God, and I want to encourage everybody to continue to go for their dreams and don't ever quit.
Awesome. And this is the last thing. How can folks get connected with you?
Social media. I'm pretty sure we can put my social media.
Yeah. We'll drop that in the show notes for sure.
Social media, email.
Okay. Well, Cortez, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to sit on the couch with me and just allow us to talk, just shoot the breeze and just be able to reflect on the journey. So I'm so grateful for your time. And
thank you.
We'll talk soon. All right. Bye.